Call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Couple modifications and additions we have to the agenda. The number 6A is the distress road loan agreement. Steve's here for that. We have a question on attendance of the Port Authority a strategic planning meeting, and we have a resignation from the CVB and also a trip to Fort Campbell. We'll put those in at the end of the meeting. Any other additions to the agenda? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to accept the agenda as modified.
I make a motion.
Oh, excuse me, I'll second that
We
motion.
have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Public comments. Do we have anybody? Seeing none. Aaron, you get the pleasure to start with. Up early.
Yes, my name is Erin Emerson, and I am the president and CEO of the Perry County Development Corporation. And per the new contract that we signed in June, part of that came with quarterly updates. So this is one of our first quarterly updates. But this one is kind of long because I went ahead and just looked at everything prior to now in 2023. And I can send this to you via email as well. I did want to take a minute to acknowledge that we have done a new strategic plan, and we will be unveiling more of that at our annual meeting on September the 7th, and you should have all received invitations to that. And we do have a couple of new staff members as well. One of them is here, his name is Shiraz Mukaram, and we have Tina Small, who has also joined us as well. So on quarterly update for Attraction, so far in 2023, we have received 57 requests for information from the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. They have represented a wide range of projects and industries. Number of jobs ranged from 20 to 4,000. Capital investment has ranged from $2 million to $5 billion. There has been an increase in requests for existing buildings, as well as an uptick for sites that are rail served, and large parcels of land requests have really become frequent, like 100 to 1,000 acres were some requested. We were able to submit responses to 7 of those that we received, and we submit if we have a site that meets the requirements. But like I said, when you're talking about 4,000 employees or 500 acres, we just don't have it to submit. Any questions on that before I move on?
You've answered what I was going to ask you, so I was just curious.
I'm not going to hit every bullet point on this just because there are a lot, but I did want you to have it. We'll touch on Project 61623. That is a company which conducted 3 local site visits in June. Continuing to work with them. They are connected to one of our local manufacturers, and I think there's a real potential for some larger scale operations there. So we will continue to work very closely with them, communicating with them right now on a weekly basis. Under retention and expansion, we have continued to have our business roundtable, which is meetings that we do with our major employers. We meet quarterly, and we bring in speakers, resources, helpful information for them, update them on our current initiatives, get feedback from them, it's a chance for them to also connect and talk to one another. When we held it in July, we had a representative there from the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, from Southwest Indiana Workforce Board, and Tell City Ivy Tech to talk about the different programs and initiatives that each of them are working on and how they can utilize the services of all of those. We've actually got a manufacturing resource roundup event scheduled for later this week on Thursday. And we have at least 4 of our major employers will be attending that as well. And there will be a representative there from NVEDS, which is something we've talked a little bit about. And I think Kevin Herb has kind of touched on doing something similar. I've communicated with him about it, but the state does have a program where they are working directly with veterans as they are getting discharged, and you can see their resumes and their skills and connect them with local employers. We are continuing to work very closely with WPACA. They have been vetting a potential project, and we have responded to all of the requests for information that they've needed from us. We have worked very closely throughout that process. On Riverview Industrial Park, the whole park, we are working with WPACA, WebWheel, the Redevelopment Authority, and the Redevelopment Commission to get all the parcels of land and the ownership that they need to be. And also there's some bat and stream mitigation throughout the industrial park that needs to be recorded. And we are working on that now with the county and the other owners of the property. Move on under talent attraction or talent retention and attraction. I believe most of you are familiar with the Make My Move remote worker attraction program. It's a $7,000 cash incentive to attract those from outside the state of Indiana into Indiana. You do not have to be a remote worker, but you do need to have a job secured. So if you are an entrepreneur and you can bring your business with you, that's fine. If you have secured a job at a local employer, that works as well, but there is a minimum income requirement of $50,000 because the goal is to really grow the tax base.
And you have had how many?
So far, we have had 2 households relocate, and we have 4 right now in the pipeline. I've got so as of yesterday, we have had 542 applicants to the program, but those could be people that they might be unemployed. they could be all across the spectrum, but they have applied. Then Make My Move goes through the process of actually verifying that they meet all of the eligibility criteria. And we've had 131 of them that have met the pre-approval criteria. 21 of those have actually been offered the incentive. We've had 8 accept. 2 of those are the relocated households that are already here. 1 accepted, and then her job circumstances changed and she's put her move on hold right now. And the others are in the pipeline, and they're working their way through getting, they've got to secure housing and do things they've got to go through a background check, things like that through Make My Move. As a result of the 2 relocated households, Make My Move has a economic output model that they put it through, and their numbers show that those 2 relocated households will have $102,000 new annual economic output and about $8,500 in new annual tax contribution and 0.71 local jobs created. Like I said, we do have 4 movers in the pipeline, 1 from California, 1 from Utah, 1 from Florida, and 1 from Guam. And I actually think the guy from Guam is looking at a house in Derby.
So I've got a question.
Mhm.
With all these applicants, is there any opportunities for employment outside of the Make My Move if they have a serious interest in moving here? I mean, because even though they may not qualify for this program, if they desire to move to Perry County, we need to encourage them if possible. So is that an option?
Yeah, I think that would be an option. I mean, they are connecting, they are seeing our website when they go to the Make My Move platform. So they're seeing all of the amenities, places to live, things in our community, as well as the potential jobs that are available. The problem is if they're being driven to the Make My Move website, Make My Move is doing paid marketing to drive remote workers to the website. So they're most likely to see it if they already are a remote worker and have that kind of a job. But that doesn't mean that we couldn't hook them up with someone local.
That's what I'm thinking of, is if nothing else, even if you picked up a few of them, if they have an interest in relocating.
We have received a lot of really, really positive feedback from those that have shown interest. And I think the other benefit is that most of them will have spouses or children.
Sure.
One of the relocated families so far did have 2 children that are now in our school system. One of them is renting, the other bought a house. And then we actually had some applications come through today. There's one from Florida. She is a senior claims analyst, and you can see her income on there. And as the back end of Make My Move, they are asked some questions like, what is most important to you when you're looking at your future home? The majority of them are answering to find a lower cost of living. Some of them are interested in finding a community where they can get involved, which would make sense if they are in a really big metro area and they work from home and they don't have any connections with the community. But her answer to what appeals to you most about Perry County was, I absolutely love that area. It's so close to Louisville. I've also read that hold on, let me move down. We are looking to find a safe and new place for our children to grow and learn. We want them to be able to safely experience life in the outdoors. We want a place to truly call home and to be able to participate in our community. We want to be able to explore our town and the outdoors. Other people have mentioned that they're looking for a safe community. Someone said Perry County is beautiful. I've had the pleasure of visiting one. I love the welcome feeling there, naturally peaceful. I prefer to own land and be rural. I'd like to build a home. This person liked the small hometown feel. I want my son to be able to have a safe place to have his high school experience. Another person talked about the forest and the hills. Couldn't ask for more. I also appreciate the We Expect Success motto from your school district, as my 3rd grade son's education is important, and I would love the chance to be involved in the school and the community. And another said she actually just got out of an 11-year relationship and was looking for a place with a fresh start, and she thought that our community looked like a great place to do that. So you can kind of see that there are people all through the spectrum of life, but we have gotten really great feedback, and it's honestly, I feel like, been a testament to the Pick Perry website and the brand that we have created, that they are able to see the kind of community we have in our online presence. Most of them have not been here, and I think that they already have a feel of what it is like. I learned recently that there could be some additional match money available from the state, and I would like to explore that while it is available and extend our contract with Make My Move to add more families. Our first contract has 8 movers, and like I said, we've got 2 of those households so far. So I'd love to potentially double it. There are additional pages that correspond later in the report that kind of go to each one of these, but there are some things from Make My Move. They are getting ready to do some paid advertising where they will specifically be marketing to business development professionals, engineers, finance professionals, IT professionals, program and project managers, marketing professionals. I said in July, our campaign reached 143,000 people, and that is a result of them boosting it and getting eyes on it. And then there was an email from the family that did end up locating here, and their quote is, "So why Perry? The town had good internet access, and your junior senior high school is very highly rated. Those are mandatory. We have to be able to do our jobs, and our children need a good education. Then we watched some videos on Perry County and on Tell City. It looks beautiful and family oriented. We heard the story of how Tell City got its name, and like the town was proud of its story. Finally, the welcome gifts from Perry County offered were perky and came from the town itself. It was a welcome basket that seemed to say, no, really, welcome. We like that. Perry County became our county of choice. We are glad to have signed a lease, and we are excited to move." And they have reported that they love it. They have fallen in love with our community. They have been attending a lot of community events. They walk a lot, and their children have never seen snow. So hopefully they'll get a little bit of that. Moving on from Make My Move, we continue to work on workforce development. We have had a meeting recently and set a tentative date for the Aspire event, which pairs all of the sophomores in the county with professionals in the county to learn about the different types of job opportunities that are available here and start to develop those relationships. And we will be doing more of those as the school year goes on. On housing, which is a major area of focus and one that is specifically called out in our contract. We did work with Ron Smith on the Furniture Row apartments, which are now complete with 36 units. And as of earlier this month, 27 of those units have been rented with 9 available for rent, and that was 2 weeks ago. So there may be fewer than that at this point, but they were still finishing up the construction of a few of them. On Forest Canton Heights, which I know you all are familiar with, development has continued there, 27 single-family lots. And there's a little bit more about that under the Ready section. Hoosier Heights subdivision also be covered under Ready, but continuing to work with the Case Bolts on that development, which has the potential for 80 single-family lots. We are also working with a private developer on the potential of a large multifamily housing complex, and they are in the process of doing their due diligence right now. We also are working on potential development in northern Perry County as well. Childcare. I attended last week, I think, or the week before. It's all started to run together. The legislature has the interim study committee on public health, behavioral health, and human services, and child care was assigned to that committee. And I was asked to attend and testify really about the state of Indiana's child care system. And I did that, and there was a lot of really great attendance. The committee seemed to be very attentive and to begin to understand the issue. They asked really great follow-up questions. I was asked to provide them some follow-up information on some of the barriers, and there was a lot of really good media coverage afterwards as well. We know that childcare is still a need. We are continuing to work with our local providers to explore any and all expansion possibilities. We were able to get Perry County's childcare voucher reimbursement rate raised to be one of the highest in the state, which was really exciting. And then the state reset all of the rates for the entire state, and they modeled all of the rural counties off of our rate. So now all rural counties in Indiana have like tripled the rate that they can get, which is really, really important for sustainability, long-term sustainability. Skip ahead to regional activities. We continue to work with the Southern Indiana Gateway region, which includes Perry and 6 other counties. One of the first things that group has chosen to work on is addressing the child care landscape and lack thereof within the region. We worked together to have a white paper done on the actual need, the number of seats versus the children in need of care, and the number of parents that could potentially be in the workforce if they had access. And we unveiled that earlier this year. It went really well. We had a lot of good positive feedback, and we have a follow-up meeting tomorrow night with Indiana legislators to kind of dig more into what are the actual barriers and how do we begin to get rid of them. And Ready. I believe that you are all familiar with Ready. We are part of the Indiana First region. Perry County will be bringing in $2.7 million in Ready funds, which will result in over 15 million in private investment and over 60 new single-family homes before the end of 2026. The projects that are being funded include Forest Canton Heights subdivision. It received $775,000 in ready funding so far. $729,300 has been dispersed to the Perry County Redevelopment Commission for the development of the Forest Canton Heights subdivision. These funds covered the full cost of the site development and the work performed by Western Brothers. And there's about $45,000 remaining to be drawn down, and those invoices have been submitted, and those funds should be available hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks. The lottery for the lots is tomorrow, so it's very exciting as it begins to come to fruition. We'll see how it goes. Hoosier Heights subdivision is getting up to $1 million in ready funding for water, wastewater, and roadways, with a total private investment of over $10 million. The Case Bolts have been working their way through some environmental things with the site, and they are nearing the end of that, hopefully, so we will be able to get started very soon. The Tell City Sports Complex is getting $600,000 in ready funding for some sanitary sewer, some improvements to parking area there, and ADA facility for press box concessions and restrooms. And that the actual project will begin immediately following the next season, and the city will be doing some fundraising in the meantime. And the final project that is being funded with Ready One funds is the Ivy Tech Workforce Training and Enhancement Project. Ivy Tech is getting $350,000 in ready funding for the expansion of the industrial technology program, as well as HVAC in the labs, because it's really, really hot in there. And when they have that, they will be able to hold classes, not just restricted to when it's not so hot, which will have the potential to double campus enrollment. And they're also getting some advanced robotics and automation equipment as well. That is due to feedback from our employers on the types of training they need.
And when will that start, Eric?
Hopefully very, very soon.
So they haven't given you any starting deadline or
They have-
timeline?
It's been complicated because Ivy Tech has had to work through it on their foundation end as well. And they had like a private investment amount, and we kind of went back and forth on where that was going to come from. But Ivy Tech is committed to covering that now. So I think that everything has been figured out, and I am very hopeful that we will start ordering equipment anytime. Members of the region are continuing to meet monthly, sometimes more, to move the projects through the grant management portal. There's a lot on the back end. I serve as the treasurer of SWIDAC and for the Indiana First region, so there's been a lot of work on the back end and working with our accountant to really streamline that process. In June, the IEDC hosted a quarterly Ready event where they shared some information kind of about their wrap up on Ready 1 and moving forward to Ready 2. And there are some slides from that presentation in here as well, and you can kind of see the metrics that they are looking at. They've been very clear that Ready 2.0 will not be able to fund anything program related. They want infrastructure or capital building projects. And they've also made it clear that Ready Round 2 will be very competitive and that not every region will receive funding like they did during Round 1. And they really want regions to, they don't want a list of projects submitted to fund. They want a regional strategy, like how much are you going to increase your population by? How many housing units are you going to add? How many childcare seats are you going to add to capacity? What quality of life amenities are you going to add? So we are currently working as a region with a consultant to update the plan that we did for Round 1 and really ensure that we are kind of regional strategy based. Like I said, there are several sheets that are behind all of this, but they really correspond to the information. You can see the list of all of the requests for information received from the state there, and if we did or did not submit and why we did or did not submit. There's a map that refers to the mitigation areas around Wapaka and Wapwheel and Riversview Industrial Park. There's some information on
This
making
is
my
the bat
move.
mitigation.
On that map, it is what is in red there, but it also includes that kind of triangle-ish quadra. I'm not sure. Yeah, right there, that one as well. But the 15.6 is referring specifically to what lies on Web Wheels property, and then there's an additional 5 point something that is on property that's currently held by the RDA. Information about Forest Camp, which we worked at, get the word out. It was featured on Inside Indiana Business. We had some good statewide attention, as well as, of course, the layout and all the corresponding documents that go with that. The agenda from the interim study committee and an article that was the result of that. Additional data on the child care seats as part of the Southern Indiana Gateway region, reimbursement rates, and then some ready information. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Do you have this up any place where others could look at it? There's a lot of information here. I think
There is.
the public would, I'm sure they'd like to see it also.
Yes, I think on some of them, I would need to remove a little bit of information, but I think that some of it can be shared.
Just a general oversight of what's going on. That-
Any way you can put it on a website?
If you just want to email me the report part, the top first page, if I could do that, and then, or remove what.
Yeah, I can take some of those out.
Yeah.
Whatever you're uncomfortable with, just if you could delete that part of it and have Chris upload it, then others could look at what's actually happening, which I think keeping the public informed is good.
I agree.
Now, I know, I think we've spoke about this before. I think the county wants to be a little more actively involved in Ready 2 when that happens. I know that there's some options potentially for some water line expansion through Ready 2, and we've got a lot of the county that needs water. So we're looking at everything we possibly can
Yeah.
squeeze money from. So that's an area of, I don't know whether they'll recognize our need or not, but at least we.
I think it will, I definitely think there's a possibility. I think if we can make the case that it will tie to growth, which is really what their whole goal is, then.
Wasn't there some federal funding,
Oh, we're looking at everything.
Yep.
Yeah,
federal
we're-
grants for water?
It all depends. A lot of it's based on income within different regions and that. So there's a lot of different options in a lot of areas, and we just don't want to avoid any opportunity that we
No.
might be able
Need to fill in everything we can.
to get water into the county. Because, I mean, that's what's holding our growth back. I mean, people just are not going to move
Water.
here without water. So,
Yeah, they are,
Something simple as water.
well, from outside the area, yes, you would not move in and
no,
haul
not
your
if you had to haul your water. So, and then you are working with the RDC more, because I know that was the process. They were kind of the eyes and ears for us and just quarterly back to us.
yes.
And so the whole board is up to date on what's kind of happening. Okay, just so they
I've
stay.
tried to attend almost all of their meetings in the past few months,
Yeah.
and I speak with John regularly.
But make sure that you include the whole board though, not John, because David and I, sometimes he slips and forgets. So keep the whole board involved so they know. I thank you for your time and the information. It's informative.
A lot of information. Seems like you've been busy.
Stay busy.
A lot of good things happening, so.
Thank you.
Any questions? We're good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next thing up, we have the minutes from 8/7/23. Everyone had a chance to look through them.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
3-0, they passed. Okay, Chris, next thing is Banner Bill.
Yep, we've got the approval of the 8/14 payroll in the amount of $162,619.11. Health insurance claims in the amount of $24,685.26. Approval of the 8/22 claim docket in the amount of $79,701.34.
One thing I want to bring up, it's the last item, the claim docket. If you looked at what the council's going to be asked to do tomorrow night or Thursday night, is approve an additional $115,000 for pauper attorney. And I pulled up some of these invoices, and this is what's really getting us in trouble. This invoice actually started out 10/6/2020, almost 3 years ago.
Mhm.
And my concern is the state of Indiana will pay us back up to 40% of these costs. And I was concerned that, will they pay a 3-year-old bill? Now, I was told, the auditor's office checked into it, and they said they would, because it's the start of the case and the end of the case. But we're getting substantial. Here's another one, started in 2021. So this is just part of it. And
So what you're saying, they'll pay part of the,
they will rebate us up to 40% of what we pay out in pauper attorneys. The risk we face is that if they don't put the 40% in, then we're going to be spending 100% of the money and won't get any rebate. So I don't know whether we want to pay on some of these old bills 60%, wait for the 40 to come in, or whether we want to
Randy,
go.
it can be up to 40%, but not guaranteed
Yeah,
to 40.
I know, it could be
so
less
it's
than
not-
that.
It's not exactly 40%.
how would that be determined? Did they tell you that?
I don't think they,
What was the question?
I think
Sorry.
you ask for 40 and then they send you whatever. Is that how
Yeah,
it
you
works?
asked for
Okay.
40.
Yeah, so and that's the problem. I mean,
So how much are you talking about?
right now we have spent out of that fund $263,508.85. And we're August.
Well, these here,
There's a whole group of them in there. I just pulled 2 of them out as examples.
oh,
So you kind of see what I was talking about.
I was just wondering how many old ones that are
We'd have to go through and look at them.
3 years old or, 2 years old that,
And then they come due in 1 year. That's why
yeah,
we've
that's
got
what
so
I'm saying.
much. Yeah. But we've exceeded what we had budgeted already. So I wanted to make everybody aware of the situation where we are. And Chris, I remember we talked about the juvenile detention in Vincennes, and we were around 82,000 over budget. And I think nearly a $40,000 additional invoice
Yes,
came
to pay.
in from,
40,000?
There's an additional appropriation for tomorrow. I don't know the exact amount, but it's between $82,000 and $83,000. That will just pay the June and July invoices. And that's an additional to get us up to that. And we've already received an August invoice between 39 and 40.
So that could stay with us till the end of the year.
So
Pretty easy.
you're looking at, if
Every
we stay
month.
on the track that we're on now, you're looking at an additional 240 on top of the 83 approximately that you're gonna have to do on top of the 70 that you already spent. So it's 70, 83, and if we stay on average at the 40 for the next 5 months. So yeah,
another 200,000.
200,000, yeah, sorry.
So we're at $350,000 and we had budgeted 70,000. So
What options does the council have?
I don't know. I don't think any. That's the
I mean,
problem.
we have to pay it, but what I mean, what options would they be looking for this money at?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's one of those things, I mean, it's juvenile detention and you can't just put them in anywhere.
Yeah,
Typically,
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
typically it's budgeted out of general, you know, the 70s budgeted out of general.
Yeah, we went through this before, but never to this extreme.
No, if you look back at what in the past, I think the largest bill that I saw was like 11,000. A lot of them were 5 and 6 and 7. And that would make sense. 70,000 is a reasonable budget. But these things are just,
This is going to be a hard thing for the county. It's hard for a small county like us to absorb that additional funding with no reimbursement or anything from the state.
Is there anything that can be applied for? I mean, as far as grants or,
I can reach out on the court side and see. I
I mean,
really,
because that's a lot of money for a county our size.
I know.
especially whenever you haven't budgeted and you have no control over it.
Yeah, that's what hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Back to my,
We're
back to my bills.
So what do you want to do? Approve them and hope for the best?
I don't see how, we don't have an option.
Honestly, on these, we don't. There's no option. The pauper fees have to be paid. The care for the juvenile detention has to be paid. It's not.
And see, the other side of this thing is these cases continue to be extended. Allen has an issue because he's housing the prisoners for an extended period of time. He's feeding them and they're taking up resources there too. So not only is it an issue with the pauper attorneys, the juvenile, it's causing issues in the jail too that increase his expenses. That's why he's asking for more money too for food. So it's something we really need to consider how we can control, if we can in any fashion, some of these costs. But I don't have an answer today.
I don't know if anybody does, Randy.
Yeah. So with that said, I guess I'll entertain a motion to approve these. I assume I don't know if we can pay these until the council actually appropriates the money, so. I mean,
No, we can't pay. I don't know. Actually, was not aware that the pauper was on there. Now that the juvenile detention's not on there.
Right, it's yet to
So I
come.
think the pauper just got put in there, so that will be held that will not be paid till after the additional.
Now, on the proper
appropriation.
attorney, now we have to pay it before we can ask for the reimbursement back, right?
Correct,
And you can get up to.
Yeah, up to,
40,000.
yeah, but we have to pay it first.
correct.
And how much is that?
The additional appropriation is 115,
115 over and above what they already had budgeted.
okay.
And we're in August.
15,000.
And we're in August. So we have several months yet in 23. And I think we have to approve this. I mean, the other ones were okay payroll and everything, but the
Yeah,
claims, we need to approve that maybe separate, contingent upon the council
right.
appropriating funds to pay them. And they're going to be in the same shape we are. They're going to have to,
Yeah.
But
Where you gonna get it?
figure out where they.
is that pauper in there? Because my claim docket's only 79,000.
I think these bills are, because that's where I pulled them out. You look underneath the new
Okay.
invoicing properties,
Okay.
they're listed, so
You're talking $115,000 today, correct?
that's what they're asking.
And then the approval for $79.
Yeah, I don't think that
I don't-
115 is like all expended already.
Right, that's, I
just
think, setting some additional money
additional
aside.
funding.
But most of that 79,000 is related to pauper returns. There's a good chunk of it is.
So I would say, do all three of them separate if you want, and then do the.
We can approve A and B, which is
Yeah,
payroll and health insurance claims. We have funding for that. So I'd entertain a motion to approve the payroll and health insurance claims.
I make a motion.
I'll second that, Randy.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 on that one. And then the last item would be the claim docket for $79,701.34. I'll ask for a motion to approve pending the council appropriating enough money to meet those claims. Because it's
Or do you
not-
want to table it and then let them see if they can come up with?
Well, we can approve it. I don't know how far they're behind on, we can approve it. I mean, and they won't pay it if they don't come up with the money. So,
I think we always have to approve it first, no matter where
Yeah.
it goes,
So-
then it goes to the council. I think that's how it works, so. I'll make that motion, what you just said, Randy, about,
contingent upon council
yeah, council approval.
appropriation.
I'll say.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
3-0. The next item is naming stream in Oil Township. It's Esri Creek. Do we have anybody here to speak on that?
I've got the paper
I-
here.
I sent all the paperwork. I don't think he's here.
Have you had a chance to look at it? What it basically is there's years ago, the Esris lived within that region. It's an unnamed tributary. It's Ian, isn't it? Hahus?
Ian Hawkins.
Is asking to do is us to sign a letter that we're supportive of naming it, but we don't have the ability to name it.
They're just wanting our,
They're just wanting us to be
Approval.
on board with it, and probably as long as there's no objections, then he would do it.
Where is this stream at? Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere.
I've got
Right here.
I've got it
Where's it
here if you
start?
want to
Where
look
is
at
it
it.
end?
I think it's,
What
Yeah,
is it,
Chris,
2
you can
miles?
explain that to in your area, I believe. Close to Branchville.
It's about 2 miles. I
runs
think.
right through your farm.
Yeah. It runs right through your front yard. Talking about over here.
I guess it's all in black here.
It's 2 miles
Is that the
long.
main
Heads into
stream?
Hoosier
It's going towards
Hills,
the
or
prison
Hoosier
facility.
National
It's
Forest.
running
Probably-
past the creek or past. the
Probably starts
hospital.
up here
Mhm.
and runs down. Is
Yeah,
that
it's-
the main one?
Yeah,
It's 2 miles long according to that paperwork.
I wasn't aware that they didn't have a name already.
What do you always call
I've never, let's say I didn't.
I don't know if it
name,
ever
so-
had a name. did it?
That's what he alleges, that it's never had a
Yeah.
name and it's.
And I want to
it's
name
a
it
name.
Ezra Creek because
He
of
wants
his
to name
family
There's
connections.
several creeks around Branchville that doesn't have names. And actually, I was wondering where it was at.
It looks like it's the main one right along the road when you go.
Is it
Yeah, right.
from the conservation club down?
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Behind the old Branchville Church.
See, the
Splits
Sprinkles
off.
lived on that creek more than Esri's did. I don't think it should be named Esri Creek. It'll come from the conservation club down through behind Branchville, behind the old Branchville Church into the other creek at Wise down there, where it connects. There's more Sprinkles lived on that creek than what they have in Esri's. If it's, let me see.
What's the benefit of naming it?
I don't know what, I just, and what he did is he provided us different data of early 1800s settlements in there, that there was a lot of Esris.
Oh, the correctional.
So that's 200 years ago, whenever they owned the property there,
Yeah,
so.
see that? Sprinkles all live through here now. Through here is Conservation Club,
Mhm.
and then the prison here. I think we need to be named, they think it should be named Sprinkle Creek, but there's more sprinkles. And there's still sprinkles living there.
Mhm.
I don't,
There's already a Circle Creek.
in that same
There is.
area.
Lauren, did you hear him?
Where's it at? Because when I went and checked at the recorder's office, I couldn't find no
This is what's on here, that the new name Ezra Creek is proposed for the unnamed 2-mile long tributary of Old Creek in Old Township in Perry County. It would be commemorate several generations of the Esri family who were among the first settlers in Old Township in early 1800s, specifically Jonathan D. Esri, birth and date Benjamin Esri. Okay, and then we go. General Land Office records show that Jonathan and Benjamin Esri each acquired 40 acres in the vicinity of the stream in 1841 to 1848, respectively. Two maps of Perry County dated 1861 1894 show landowners named Esri or Esri, spelled a different way, in the vicinity of the stream. They are listed in census records as farmers and are buried in Walker Cemetery a short distance east of the stream.
See, that's all runs through. You got 3 different sets of sprinkles that live through there. 2 of them still living there on that creek as you go into Branchville.
So the question is how do we want to handle not only this one, any coming in the future? I mean, do we want to be involved?
If somebody
Do we
wants to
wanna-
come in and say, I want to name a creek through my property.
Right. It's not only, he's done the research, he's came in and he's made his case for it. And, I think that any given time, if Warren says there's still sprinkles out there, that's going to be another generation forward. So when do you determine what generation names the creek? So
You can,
I don't, you
get some
can,
feelings hurt pretty quick.
Yeah, so-
It even states here that
There's no Esri's live on that creek.
there's no Esri's currently on land near the creek.
No.
So there's a minimal risk of perception of this being meant to honor living or recently deceased persons.
More of the Esri's went up the Branchville, St. Croix.
Okay, the name of Esri Creek would be analogous to the existing Ewing and Sprinkle Creeks in the area. I didn't even know there was a Ewing and Sprinkle Creek,
Yeah, it's
Okay.
on the map.
which were named after families that can be seen owning land adjacent to those streams. Yep, if,
What are the advantages of giving them a name? I'm not following this exactly.
The history, I guess.
Well, I mean,
That's what I see out of it. I'm not sure.
yeah,
it really don't make any difference except I've still got the Sprinkle family still there. My great grandmother was an Esri, so she was there too at one time. So, but it's just the idea, there's no Esri's living along that creek now. Sprinkles have lived there for probably close to 100 years along that creek, so.
he also writes here, the name is not meant to be commemorative of any particular person, but rather the influence of the entire Esri family in the development of the Branchville area surrounding the proposed Esri Creek throughout the 1800s. Several family members who own land in the area are listed, but this name is not meant to honor any one of them.
My question, what the Waterways US is doing, but I don't think it matters if it's got a name or not. If it's got water running down through it, they're gonna.
I don't know how they address it, but see, we will not name that creek.
Yeah.
All he's asking as far as a letter of support from the commissioners on naming it, then they'll determine whether they accept it or don't accept it. Do we want to get involved in these things, or do we want to take, non-committal and say if he wants to approach the naming entities without our support? I mean, that's just something we need to, and we can table this if we want to and think about it and come back and take action on it later, or what's the thoughts? I mean,
If you would do this, Randy, I could see maybe, for example, you mentioned the sprinkles. They could come in, well, how come,
exactly.
I mean, where do we get into,
Where does it stop?
yeah, where does it stop?
It takes
So-
me back to the roads whenever they started naming them for 911. And we all knew certain areas with certain names. And then they decided to say, hey, we're not going to follow the old family names that lived on that road forever. And we'll rename them something else. That's how that action was taken. So
That was actually brought up at my household. It needs to start with an O, it means it's an oil.
Oil Township, that's right.
Mhm.
Ours are all S because we're behind Tobin.
You know,
So,
there's a creek runs past the Conservation Club from coming up the hollow past the Conservation Club. Does that, I don't know, does that have a name? Then there's one farther down.
It's just whatever people want to call it.
My grandma and grandpa's place with my cousin's place with my aunt. And there's a creek that comes down through there that connects to this creek. You know, you got. I think it's going-
You know, we could get really deep into that, but wonder who really named some of them before. I mean, how did that ever come about? I mean, that's some history that we probably never know. Like around home, is Middle Fork, is Kraus Creek. I mean,
Oh,
and a lot of it was names, you know, like Krause's they lived along Kraus
Mhm.
Creek, so.
With it's like Millstone
Mhm.
and Poison and Bear and.
so.
So Randy, if you got a lot of time, start digging back. to the old record.
I don't think so. I'm ready to
to
just put this on hold.
If he can go ahead and do this without our blessings, I mean,
Well, he can. I mean, he's
Well,
just
I mean-
asking for a letter of support
I don't-
because we have no ability to name any creeks.
I think it's gonna open up a can of worms.
So you want to let somebody else open the can and we'll just stay neutral.
Yes, and we'll stay on the plate.
Okay, I'd like a motion to table that action on the Esri Creek renaming in Oil Township.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor of tabling the renaming, or the naming, actually? Aye, 3-0. Okay, now we go to time and attendance software. We had our demos from two different vendors. One was Lao, one was Ann Island. I think the difference, they're both cloud-based, which they're outside of our Lao system. The Lao system has been around for a period of time and has been utilized by several different counties. The Ann Island system has been developed but not actually put into service. They both have similar attributes. The Lao system is probably, I think, 38,000 for just the software, and the Ann Island system is 18,000. Primarily because they want to get the system up and running so they can sell it to other counties or other entities as a time and attendance software.
And there is a a monthly charge.
The monthly fee is probably, I think, about 50% less, the Ann Island, or is it?
Island was, that they quoted 8,000 a year.
The other was 12.
The other one was 1,000 a month.
It's
So it's
12,000.
12,000.
12,000 versus 8,000, the monthly, or the annual maintenance of the system.
Chris, which one do you prefer? Which one do you think you could do better with in your office? I mean, not putting either of them down. I mean, which
We have
You're looking-
we have a difference of opinion, and that's why she's looking at me.
you're
No, I
looking at.
wasn't looking at you. I was looking at Becky for asking, putting me on the spot.
No, I don't mean to put you
I
on the
know.
spot because this is
I
your
know,
office.
and I
You want it to
and I
run
appreciate that.
streamlined, you know, and it's going to save time.
I will be completely honest. I feel customer service with Ann Island is wonderful. They are very helpful. They are very prompt. I am very nervous about being the first. And as busy as my office is and as efficiently as I need everything to run, especially when we're talking about payroll, the worst way for me to get enemies is to not pay them adequately on time. And that's just one thing I've learned you don't mess with. You don't mess with people's money. So plus, I know we spoke at the last meeting. We currently have the issue right now with the assessor using Exoft and the auditor's office using Lao okay, so the assessor uses their Exoft system and we use Lao for our property tax system. We were told that they were going to talk, just like we're being told that Ann Island can talk with Lao. And I'm not saying that Ann Island cannot talk with Lao, but I'm just saying our experience with going with two different companies that have to go together, Exoft and Lao don't talk so smoothly. And I'm not, and that has created a lot of work in my office and a lot of work in the extra work in the assessor's office because those don't talk, and a lot more manual things that have to be done and a lot of manual checking that has to be done to prevent and minimize errors. Lao is already developed. They're already in several, or I should say not Lao, Attendance on Demand, which is a sister company of Lao, is already developed. It's already in other counties. It's already being used. And I don't think there's going to be as many hurdles in setup with Lao, which are going to be responsible if we go with Ann Island. I think there's going to be a lot of time and a lot of setup, which is going to be required from my office to communicate with them on that, to assist them in getting that set up. Where with Lao, a time and attendance, they know they're already established, they already have the foundation, it's already there. So we use Lao in the auditor's office, we use Lao Financial, we use Lao Payroll, we use Lao Budget, we use Lao Property Tax. So it's hard. I'll just be honest. I mean, Ann Island is a local company. It puts a little tug on the heartstrings as far as for me, because but in my office, I have to put business and efficiency and getting my job and work done ahead of my heart. And I know that not everybody agrees with that. And it's a very hard thing for me to sit here and publicly say that I would prefer us go with time and attendance, attendance on demand with Lao. And I know it's more money, but I feel that it's going to be a smoother transition and less work on myself at my office.
How long will it take?
We will have to get on the list. You know, we had mentioned back in July, you know, that they have had so many counties, and I don't remember the number off the top of my head, commit. So the sooner I can tell them, yay, we can get on the list, then I can get an answer. But there's going to be a lot of work that has to be done in these upcoming months, to get it set up to start for January. I feel like with the time and attendance, they're going to be able to pull a lot of our information. Our payroll, and it will pull a lot of what we've already got. So that is just my opinion, which I know that.
Now, I'll have a differing opinion.
Yes.
You always do.
Okay. Now, what we have is 2 third-party vendors. This is not a Lao system.
Correct.
This is a different vendor, but they work with Lao, is what it amounts to. So it's the same thing. It's web-based is what it does, and it tracks the time. Both of them they're very much similar. The main difference is one has been utilized, the other one has not. My thoughts are, and I look at our whole community this way. If we don't give someone within our community the opportunity to expand and improve their services, then how can we ask another county adjoining us or a county in the middle part of the state or whoever to say, hey, give these guys a shot? Granted, I think there's going to be some areas along the way that may be a little frustrating, but they have committed. They will get on it now from what they've told me. And they have the system developed. They just need to tweak it for the use of Perry County. And my approach to this is, first of all, as we struggle for money, giving our local vendor an opportunity with the stipulations that they either perform or we're not obligated to pay them. And I think they would work with that. The Lao vendor, I'm sure, will not, because they're proven. I've told Kelly in the office over at the auditor's office that it will work, and I'll work with them to see that this is pushed through. But that's where I just feel like we owe it, irregardless whether it's a software vendor or a grocery store on the corner. I think we have an adjoining county and an adjoining city that's prospered extremely well because they simply decided to work local and make sure that the local business, the local entity is successful. And I'm referring to Du Bois County and the city of Jasper. And I'm thinking we need to maybe model ourselves after taking care of the locals. And my interest would be is signing up with Ann Island.
What's your thoughts, Randy?
I was a little concerned with the budget finances coming down the pipe, what we're going to be, especially now after this meeting that we'll be pushing towards the council on funding on unexpected issues. I don't know. I'm not in the auditor's office every day. That's why I asked the question last meeting. We look for their recommendation. In the past, as commissioners, we've always tried to direct the council, help them with funding. We're lost on this one, Kelly. I don't know, like what we talked about earlier with proper attorney and all that. You've seen us, we don't have any options for you guys to look at. And we've always tried to do that in the past. And we'd do it today if we had options. So would it be the best if we'd hold up a year on this and see where the budget comes in at? How much cuts we're going to have to take, how much insurance is going to cost, we don't know that yet. The way it looks, we're going to be scrambling for every dollar we can get our hands on by the end of the year.
Budget is next month, correct?
The
So I
only
know you're in a crunch time, Chris, on getting this to roll out by the end of the year. So it's almost right now, or we have to wait a year,
I
right?
will tell you, though, it will change my budget because I have based my budget and I have cut I had a person leave and I did not replace them due to the efficiency changes that I've made in my office. One, switching to EFT, which cut down on the time with checks. One, switching to remote claims, which has been super successful within the courthouse in August as we roll out other offices and have planned by January to where the data entry portion of all the claims are entered digitally instead of by paper and pencil, which cuts down the time in my office of data entry. But then also the fact that payroll. And I will remind everyone that the auditor's office absorbed a position the beginning of the year, the administrator position, have taken on those duties. So in 9 months in the auditor's office, we have absorbed a position, taken on those duties. We have made efficient changes and switched to EFT. We have done remote claims. And backing up on EFT, that not only saves on time, but it saves on money. We have switched to remote claims, which is more time efficient. And then the plan to switch to a payroll and attendance software, I chose to cut from 5 deputies to 4 in 2024. So if you do not do a payroll, I'm going to need my deputy because that's going to take Kelly back to doing 5 days of payroll.
Yeah, the pencil system is really time consuming.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we sat through a state board of accounts hearing and they said the pencil system needs to go. And I got to agree we should be recording all that information so they can easily audit our system. So
And another thing with audit is it's going to save you money because right now I have 3 auditors in my office that got here July 30. If we switch digitizing our claims, which is what we're doing, instead of paper pencil, cuts down on their time here because they're able to do, the more they're able to do off-site, the less it costs us. So if we continue to operate paper pencil, which with that, then that creates more time for them to be here. So in a sense, you're spending money just in different areas, if that makes sense. So a payroll system is needed, due to the State Board of Accounts meeting that we had. It's needed for efficiency in my office and cut down on time. And then it's also going to be cost effective because it's going to save on your audit cost. So you're kind of like in a catch-22. If we hold off and don't do it, I mean, yeah, you can do that, but you're going to pay more in your audits. You're going to pay for another deputy in my office, and we're not going to have the time efficiency to spend time on other areas that are not getting the attention that they need in my office. So I know you guys are in a pickle, so have fun.
Yeah. Okay, just fast forward to the council meeting. If we were to pass this, do you have any different ways to fund it?
yeah, we're doing it out of Teresa's salary because we had that budgeted, and Chris has used a little of it, but primarily most of it's there.
I've used 4,000.
So that's how that was what the proposal was, to fund it.
You know, we're sitting here as commissioners and we have to face the county people. And you hear a lot about public safety in the county. We need more public safety, especially deputies. And, you know, it's really hard to make decisions like this. I guess that's the reason we're here, to make them. But have you talked to a lot of the department heads, elected officials on this program?
It's different. Change is hard. Change is always hard. I know that the idea of people having to clock in and out is not a wonderful feeling, but it's the times, you know. And originally, I was looking at this back in January and February when I came into office. I was looking at ways to be more efficient. I mean, that's just what I was looking at, because I just felt like we were, in a sense, behind the times on a lot of our things, as far as doing a lot of things manually, paper, pencil, and I was just looking ways for efficiency. Since then, we've had a State Board of Accounts investigation on ghost employment, where we were basically told our time and attendance system is flawed. I don't know the proper word to say. And the State Board of Accounts is kind of one of those things where they make suggestions. You have a finding, they make a suggestion, you have a corrective action. As long as you're showing signs and have proof that you're making adjustments to better, you're in a good thing. So I think we're at a different circumstance and a different point of view on my point from where I was back in February, as far as just wanting something to be more efficient instead of having one of my deputies spending 5 days checking everybody's math. And to now it's like, okay, we need to have a system to where I've learned more since February that we need to have a time and attendance software that's digitized, which will save us money on our audits. And then also having the State Board of Accounts investigation that basically found a lot of flaws in our time and attendance records.
I'm going to make a motion to accept the Ann Island offer with stipulation on dates and successful implementation prior to paying for the system. Is there a second?
I gotta go with my gut feeling. I just don't feel good about it with the finances we got coming down the pipe. I'm not totally against it, but I don't know. Sometimes you have to go with your gut feeling.
Am I allowed to speak at the chair?
Yes.
So I would like to say I'm an elected official as well. And I'm sorry. At this time, there's a lot of things going on, as you could hear, about the paupers. There's a lot going on with the juveniles that we have. But there's a huge thing with the things that is going on in my jail and with my deputies. And I get the feeling sometimes, not from you, but I get the feeling that there may be people don't trust an elected official. That's my office. And I will say, I've been here 8 years. I've never had an issue with any of my employees. And if I do, I address those. So why have we not looked at apps? How come we haven't looked at other things to save county money? So I'm just saying, as an elected official for the last 8 years, I'm wondering why now? And no offense, I don't see how we can do this when we have a lot of things in front of us. And I'll tell you right now, public safety is a big one. I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing it for almost 30 years. I've never seen it like we have it right now. But to put something else on me as an elected official, not say I would, but what if an elected official say, I don't want to do this? I'm asking.
Well, you don't want to collect the time of your employees?
No, we collect it. What if we kept it doing the same way we did it
I
and turned it
think
in?
part of the problem right now is they're doing it with a pencil. And once you get an app, you'll come in and it'll say, you'll clock in and out. It'll collect all the information and provide it electronically. It's done. Kelly Wilgus will probably spend 2 or 3 hours rather than an entire week. Because when she has to call up and say, did you take comp time? It doesn't say you took comp time. I can't read the 6. Is it a 6 or is it a 7? You don't have any comp time. How do you come you put down comp time? The whole system will stop that. In
But
other
isn't
words, you'll
that-
either have it or you won't.
Isn't
and
that elected officials' job? I'm just asking. I'm not going to argue.
Well,
I would just like to
yeah,
know.
but
We're in a bind.
right now what it does is it sends it to her and she has to make all these contacts and stuff. And what it does, as Chris said, you're either going to put in a system of electronic and get in compliance with the State Board of Accounts, or she's going to need another person to carry out the task as it is, because she's given them up out of her office to lower her budget.
They do
So-
a fantastic job.
So with that said, it's like you, Alan, if we turn around and said, we're going to replace one of your vehicles with a horse. You can still go out and do different things, but you're not going to be very productive.
I guess we.
That's what
fit on
their
that.
office is actually doing, is trying to become more and more productive, lower head count, because every time we can save $1 on labor, it saves it on benefits, it saves it on healthcare. It just, and if there's any apps or anything of it that makes you more efficient, I'm open for
So
it.
let me ask you, as a commissioner, how come more people didn't come forward? And again, not you, everybody kind of kept, but how come we never get that say as elected official? I'm just curious.
Say is what?
Why come it wasn't brought to the elected officials?
About the time and
Time
attendance?
attendance.
Well, because the time and attendance actually is an auditor's issue.
I'm sorry, you got something? I'm sorry. I thought somebody hollered at me. Okay.
But that's their duty. That would be no different than if you were wanting to initiate something in the jail and we'd say, Chris, come over and share your opinion with Alan on how he's running his jail. I mean, it's kind of like your lane, you stay in that. Her lane is providing, she is the bookkeeper for the county. She's the record keeper. She's the pay or of the county. So that's her job. Now, I think if she steps out of line, tell Steve how to plow a road or build a
It's
bridge.
no issue for her
I mean,
whatsoever. She's very.
But I mean, that's the thing about
I'm
it.
just
So
worried about what happens if some elected official says, I don't want to do this. There's nothing says that they had to. They can still turn it in as paper. They're going to have to pay them. I'm just curious why it doesn't ever get to us, the elected officials.
I would hope that we wouldn't have someone that would go down that path to say, it's no different than the council that has to appropriate money. You know, we realize that we can spend all we want to here, but if they don't appropriate the funds, it doesn't happen. We've got to work together.
Absolutely.
And if your office can see that it makes it easier for the auditors, and once you get into this here, you'll realize it's easier for you too. Once you get into this here, it's going to be easier for you, easier for her. So I think we need to look at the big picture and say, how can we all work together to make it
There's
easier,
no doubt.
more efficient, spend less money so that we can pay pauper bills or whatever we have to.
We're always about saving taxpayers. And I just did that and I got a little bit of a resistance from someone just trying to try in a vehicle. So if we're trying to continue to save taxpayers money, why can't we haven't looked at apps that are a lot cheaper? I know that Tell City Police Department right now has a great app
Well, that would
that
be
keeps
fine.
that.
And so we should have, that's an opportunity. These are just apps, but what we want to do is not have the police department on one, the highway department on one, the health department on one, the prosecutor's office or whatever, all on separate different apps. As Chris said, then they don't communicate very well. Now we've created an issue here that somebody has to sort through all these things. We've taken Kelly's time and probably refrustrated her in another way and made it difficult. Now, you brought up the vehicle. That was a $20,000 expense on a vehicle that had less mileage, and a lot of them you have in your fleet, and you want another deputy. So we're going to have to come up with a vehicle if we're going to have a deputy, and you traded it off. Why didn't we keep that one and maybe see how this deputy works out? That's where I came from. It's
Well,
not just going,
I would just
and
like
if
to
that
say-
vehicle was actually one that's, I don't know whether it's one that's out on the highway that's patrolling every day or whether it's one that an administrator drives. I don't know. I didn't ask the question, but that's where I came from on that
It's just
because I was the
things
one that
We're
was
all
in the
about saving
opposition.
taxpayer and I, as well as I am. But I just want to know, a lot of times things don't ever get really to the elected officials. I know you guys are as well, but they never get to us. I've done it for 8 years now. But I'm just curious why we can't hold on to this, because I'm telling you, you and I met in the jail. You saw the issues we had. It's not going away.
Okay, if we hold up on this, okay, and my proposal was for 18,000, okay? She wants 35,000 for her employee back.
Mhm.
Is that a good decision?
It's not my decision.
No, you're elected. You want to be involved.
This
You
part-
tell me it's 18,000 for software and she gets rid of a $35,000 employee plus the health benefits that person takes. Now, should we spend the 18 to eliminate that position? Or do we want to say, let's put it on hold and we'll spend $55,000 on that employee next year versus spending 18,000?
I understand.
Now, which decision should you make? And I'm asking you because you're an elected official. You
Yes.
tell me.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
I'm asking for an answer.
I
You tell
think
me.
that my answer is yes, I understand what she's saying. I grant that.
So what
But
should we
we
do?
haven't been through a budget yet. We have no idea what's going to happen in our budget. I'll be honest with you. I asked for 2 deputies and a correctional officers. I'm not being selfish. I think that's a public safety issue.
Okay, but if we spend $18,000 and save $55,000, we're closer to funding your deputies
Okay.
than saying, let's not spend the 18,000, let's spend the 55, because we're gonna run out of money. So
But
that's where
but
we're,
if other officials don't come forward, I don't think I should be held against me right now, because I just felt that this needs to be said.
I know, but see, what we're trying to do is bring efficiencies and save money.
Mhm.
That frees up dollars for other uses.
I
Now,
appreciate your time.
we can decide not to do that, but it'll cost us more money.
I
That's
do
why
appreciate the
we're doing
time. I just felt as an elected official, sometimes we don't get that voice at all. Do we or not?
If you have any ideas that streamlines the county government, makes us more efficient, delivers better service to our public, you're always welcome.
Well,
And
thank
I
you.
think I speak for the whole entire board with that. We're open to any suggestions and anything that happens. But I would ask that you have it thought through, because there's a lot of different angles to a lot of different things that you look
All
at.
right, thank you.
So there's a motion, and if I don't get a second, then it's gonna die if anybody has any interest.
Well, my thought was, if I did go with this, I would support Lyle because of the work they've done with us before and proven work. Not saying I'd go that way, but that's the way I would.
We have a motion on the Ann Island, and
Okay, I got a question.
yes,
Chris, how much of this will be paid for out of what you have from when on Teresa's salary?
There would need to be, I would, just on her wages, okay, so you're not even considering, I have 26,000 some left. So it would need an additional appropriation
Oh,
of 12,000
12,000.
for
To go with
2020, for 2023, to go with Lao, okay?
Wow.
I would make a recommendation to pay that out of Riverboat to the council. Then I have already figured high in my budget, whether we went with Ann Island or Lao, I went ahead and went with the higher of 12,000 a year. So I already have, so none of this 38.5 would be paid out of the 2024 budget. 26,000 would be paid out of the
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 salary.
commissioner's budget, and then I would ask for the other 12 to be paid out of Riverboat, which we did just get our second payment of Riverboat, which is more than we had anticipated, which is nice. And then, like I said, the annual maintenance, I'd already figured in my budget for 2024.
and then the riverboat may be your pauper payment.
Yeah.
So Chris, right now, you said if this is voted down, that you'll put in one more employee
Mhm.
to keep up.
I won't give up I've already had it. I just was not going to replace it, and I already had blessing from the council to take the time, and if I saw fit that I needed to replace it, whether it be with a full or a part-time. I was holding off because of these efficiency changes, but if we do not go with the time and attendance software,
You
I will put that back in my budget for
put that person-
2024. Yes.
that position back open then,
Yeah.
okay.
Can I speak?
Sure.
And the state mandates that the state is.
They didn't mandate, they just said we need to clean it up.
Require that.
They're not requiring this, it's just that they
It's
found
easier.
flaws in our record
Okay.
keeping.
I sat in on the State Board of Accounts audit. I don't know if you were there. Randy was there, Chris was there, some others were there, and they were very clear that our system is inefficient and it is a dinosaur. And that they seemed to me like they were a little bit shocked that we do it that way. And they said that there were certain things that they couldn't find, or they weren't, there was information missing because of our system being a dinosaur and it's pencil and paper, and there wasn't ways to prove certain things or disprove, there was not enough information. So I am very much for efficiencies. I am very much for time and attendance. It is going to be cheaper than hiring another employee in her office and paying benefits, and she's willing to do it, and her office is willing to do it. And I think, from my opinion, we absolutely need to move forward with it. So I just wanted to say that.
So your opinion, I know you're just one person on the council. Do you feel like the other council members would feel the same way? Because we don't
I
want to
do
send
not
something
speak
to
for
the
them.
council.
So
That's-
I'm one of 7. I do not speak for them.
But-
If you guys pass it, it'll come to us, and then
Then the
we'll have that
discussion will
discussion there.
happen.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
I
We didn't
can
wanna
only speak for myself.
Send anything to you that is a flat no, you know that?
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
that's not
and I
good.
haven't
That's
heard
not,
that,
Yeah.
but again, I don't know. I
So-
don't want to speak for them. There may be some people against it. I'm just one person. So I just wanted to say that since I'm elected official too. And I think that I commend you for looking for efficiencies in these type things. I think the auditor's office is doing a fantastic job.
Yes.
I think that anywhere we can be more efficient, we need to do it. We need to get away from the Flintstones, pencil and paper. The State Board of Accounts auditors told us that basically in a roundabout way. And I am for spending less money instead of more. So thank you.
Warren?
I guess,
Step
since I'm
up there.
elected official, it's my turn now. Between the two systems, which my department probably is one of the smallest in the county. And with it being out at the annex, when I try to log into the LAO system, it takes 20, 25 minutes sometimes before I can even log in. My question is with LAO, if I have a problem, can I talk to somebody right away? Because on Ann Island, I just pick up phone and call Anshin, and he's right there to work out the system, because the equipment I got in my office is a bunch of junk. That's all it amounts to. The copier, the computer, everything is junk, and it just takes so long to get it booted up, to get into the system. With only filling time sheets out for 5 people, it don't take very long, but I don't have a problem with either one of the systems, but I'd just like to have somebody that I could call when I have a problem and get an answer right away and not have to wait for the system to boot up. Because my understanding, there's 2 servers, one at the annex and the other one here. And I don't know if the sheriff's department's got one too, I don't know. But, there is, the time, keeping track of time. The coroner's office, I thought we was doing the right thing by using the CAD reports. That was our time frame, what our people was working. And I was the one that asked for the State Board of Accounts to do the investigation. And they said there's some discrepancies in it because there was some time cards missing. But the time sheets that I was using was the CAD reports from the police department. Those reports will stand up anywhere in court on time. So, the county had a chance to save some money, but they decided not to do anything about it. That's all I've got to say.
Okay.
Any other seconds? If there's no seconds, it'll die due to a lack of.
No, I'll second it. I'll second it.
So we had a motion and a second on utilizing Ann Island with the restrictions for delivery times and successful implementation pending prior to payment for the system.
So it's basically a probationary period.
Well, what we're going to do is give the local vendor an opportunity to put the system together. We're going to be right up front with them with expectations and deliverable times. We are not going to drag this on for months and months and months. They're going to get it in, they're going to get it operational, they're going to make it functional, they're going to get everyone trained. And the system will work, and that's part of it.
Question for Commissioner Will. Are you primarily concerned with the interface values on those, with LAO and Island? And, I'm not following that exactly. And how about something like ADP or Paycor? Have we ever looked into that?
They have to be compatible with our LAO payroll and systems. And
So we have a motion and a second on the Ann Island system. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
2-1, it passed. The next item, Steve, I skipped you on 6A, so I'm
wondering
gonna
what you done
squeeze.
with that.
Well, I'm using this old one and it didn't have him on there. Yeah, come back up here.
You've been here since noon, waiting.
I noticed he was eating his lunch there at one time there. He's been here so long, so.
I just have the agreement for the distress road loan I need to get you guys to sign.
And explain that, Steve, that's a $600,000 interest-free loan for 10 years.
Yeah,
And then we collect the money and pay them in one lump sum at the end of the time period.
at the end of 10 years.
I did notice a nice big balance in there, and I figure we have a bill coming due.
We paid, the way this works, we've got a $900,000 one that we did the last time, 4 or 5 years ago, and this is a $600,000 one, so we got two of them. But used to, you just took a check to Indianapolis, hand it to them, they hand you one, you come back with the money. I called them last year, this is due this July to be paid. So I called them in August or September of last year and asked to go ahead and put in the application. And they said, okay, and I sent it to them, then they called me or emailed me back or called me and said, they've changed that you have to pay it off before you can submit an application. So we went ahead and paid it off early last year in October or November and submitted the application. We've been waiting ever since then. And
So that didn't work out as you had it
it didn't
planned.
work out. Well, I wanted to get it where we could get the work done this year. I got this Wednesday for Thursday. I called NDOT. They said 6 to 8 weeks on getting, after we get it, email this back to them tomorrow. She said to figure 6 to 8 weeks on getting the signatures, and then another couple of weeks on getting the money transferred.
So it'll be out of season.
Yeah, I don't think there's,
Right.
it's possible we could get it back in time, but I don't think we will for this year.
And while you're here, Steve, I know there's a lot of comments been made about the pipe and the culverts being installed, and
Yeah.
we've had that conversation.
Yeah,
And that goes back to community crossings money
yeah.
that we don't know whether we're going to get funded or not,
It would be great if we knew a year ahead of time that we could put these culverts in.
and actually patch the roads then, and then they would be smooth to drive over.
Right. But we don't know until, like this year, we didn't find out till, I think it was May before we found out if we was gonna get community crossings and what we could do. Then Boyd Road had 29 culverts that needed replaced on it.
Right, and we're in a situation where we want to repair those culverts,
You
so we don't pave a road
we don't want to
and then
pave
end
the
up
road.
having to dig a culvert back
Right.
up because it failed on us.
Yeah,
That'll
So-
put them in too quick and you get a dip on a brand new paved road.
Right.
That's the big problem.
So I know some of the neighbors struggle with that,
Yeah.
and I know you've worked to try to keep them filled up. It's a little bit of pain, but the end result will be positive.
yeah. If we went ahead and paved the road, then there's gonna be 29 spots where it's gonna be rough from now on.
Right.
If we do it now, I know it's aggravating to go down that road and have to slow down 29 times.
Right,
But after, they're supposed to start paving next week. I hope they start on that one.
I know. I
And
drove it
after
too.
that's done, then they won't have to slow down on those. Then they can drive.
That is correct.
Then we'll get complaints people driving too fast, won't we?
Oh, we already are. That's why I
So-
don't like slowing down.
What, do we have any more questions on this distressed road fund? Bonnie?
No, it's worked out great in the past, so.
Yeah, so with that said, I need a motion to approve applying for or signing for the distressed road loan agreement. And a second,
I'll second that.
all those in favor? Aye. 3-0, we're on board.
Thank you. Need all three of you guys to sign that, and I need Chris to attest it. And I'll email it back to them tomorrow, maybe we can get things moving quicker.
Takes how many weeks to get how many signatures?
6 to 8 weeks. She said figure on 6 to 8 weeks, and then another 2 weeks to get the money.
And how many signatures?
However
Did-
many there is there. On that right side.
The next one, Rebecca, is you and your cell phone service when you're ready to
You have quite.
highlight that.
Okay. On the cell phone survey update, as of this afternoon, there have been 455 responses to the survey. And I have contacted Pepper Mahoran, the AT&T Southern Indiana District Representative, and she will be at our meeting next month on September the 19th. I've invited her to come, and she said she would be here to answer questions. And I will try to email all of the survey probably a week or 10 days ahead of time so she can look at it and do different areas. Because she said there was radius, I really quite didn't understand it. It's something about radius teams that go out and see what areas are out there that need the service, that are having more issues than other areas. So she will be here the 19th of September.
At our meeting.
Yes. Need to put her on the
We'll put her on the
agenda.
agenda, Chris.
Her name is Pepper Mulhern.
She calling?
That's her.
Oh, see.
service there, huh?
Daggone.
She's got service.
I got service. My silence doesn't matter.
Hey, Randy, can I make a comment on the cell service also?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Go ahead and make it.
Everybody else has. I got 455 others have.
This is not with AT&T, this is with Verizon. I made a comment last meeting that the person I talked to didn't see the future of any sites being built. Since then, I got a call from a landowner down by Troy. He signed a contract for a cell tower from Verizon,
Cool.
and it's going to be being built shortly. So at least on the Verizon side, that's probably going to help Tell City and especially the western part of the county.
A lot of times though, when they build a tower, the others will put equipment on it.
They say, and that
That's-
comment was
that's-
made about a 5-year on that. I was hoping sooner than that, which it could be, I'm not sure, but that'll be up to whoever puts a
Well, that's
tower up.
So that is,
But-
that's
They
it.
used to run off our radio station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and part of that probably, Randy, will cover that area from Troy out to the Y on
Yes.
66. that has
Yes, that's
awful
going to benefit
service.
Spectre County as much as Perry County.
Right, but it
But,
still brings coverage back into our area, so that's a good thing.
So that's just a little update what the person called me that
Okay.
viewed the meeting. And he said he's done signed it and he's being put up shortly, so.
The other things we have on here is, I think you all received a notification from Charlie Ballmaster resigning due to conflicts. You didn't? Okay. He sent one out. With his current employer, he's unable to attend their meetings at 8:30 in the mornings.
Yeah.
So he submitted his resignation. So the only thing is we need to advertise that position to see who's
Be it
interested
6 weeks.
in filling that out. Yeah.
6 weeks.
And then Kevin Herp is looking for some funding to go to Fort Campbell. And I think he's going to take some of the other employers. He said the foundry was going to send somebody, and I asked him to reach out to Web Wheel and ATTC. It's a 2-day event at Fort Campbell for those military soldiers that are actually serving, or they're stepping out of service, looking for a place to relocate. And it costs $200 to set up a booth down there and probably a little bit of money for fuel. And I said I'd bring it up to the commissioners and see if we couldn't figure out a way to fund that, because our employers need employees. So we'll see what he brings in, and we have some money in economic development that can cover that. So I guess maybe $300 or something like that.
It's about 2 hours away. I used to drive it.
So that's what's going on.
No, is he going to commute back and forth, or will they stay?
Yeah, it's a 1 day.
Oh,
There's
it's 1
2
day.
days, but they only allow you to set up for 1 day
Okay.
because there's a lot of people want to set up.
Okay. I was
So
gonna
you
say
have
if
to
we-
set up, go through it, and then you have to go home. You don't get to hang around for the second day. So it'll be a day trip for them. They'll drive down and we'll find out what kind of interest there is. And hopefully someone expresses an interest in relocating to the area.
I think 300 would be enough.
I'm just guessing. I don't know how much the fuel will be, but 200 is what he said the signing up for the event is. And then I'm just guessing meals, maybe it'll be 400 if they stop and
Let's
eat.
just make it safe, be 400 if you have to use it all.
Well, we've got the money budgeted in economic development that we can pay it out of, so it won't need any kind of budgeting. So if everyone's okay with that, I'd like a motion and a second on funding Kevin and those people's trip down there.
Oh, make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
There you go. Okay. Last thing is the Port Authority is having a strategic meeting at Blue Heron. And it is the 16th of September. And Chris needs a list of anybody that's going to be in attendance.
I can't.
That's on a Saturday, right?
16, I don't think
No, I
so.
think it's on a Thursday. Oh, I was looking at August. Yes, it's on a
It's a
Saturday.
Saturday.
It is a Saturday.
Oh, I can't go.
Right now, I'm scheduled to be gone, so.
Zero?
I would like to find out what they're doing, but let me look into this further because I don't necessarily, I'm going to go fishing with them. But I
Why
would
not?
like to find out what their plans are going forward. So let me see.
Steve
what I
said
can-
he'd go, he likes to fish.
He'd go fish for me.
Yep.
You could be my sub fisherman. I don't care. So with that said, that's the end of tonight's,
Reminder that the next meeting is on the Tuesday at 9 o'clock,
oh, that's right,
September
because
5th,
of
Labor Day.
Labor Day. It will be September the 5th, a Tuesday versus a Monday. So that said, I'd be entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you for attending. So you got our signature page.